Welcome to our journey through the fascinating world of evolution by natural selection. Today, we'll explore how life on Earth has changed over millions of years, and how Charles Darwin's groundbreaking theory transformed our understanding of the natural world. Evolution isn't just about the past, it's a process that continues to shape every living thing around us. From the tiniest bacteria to the largest mammals, evolution explains the incredible diversity of life. Let's begin by understanding what evolution really means and why it's so important to science and our daily lives. Evolution is the process by which different kinds of living organisms develop and diversify from earlier forms. Over generations, small changes accumulate, leading to the variety of life we see today. These changes can be physical, like the shape of a bird's beak, or behavioral, like migration patterns. Evolution is driven by several mechanisms, but natural selection is the most well-known. Understanding evolution helps us make sense of the similarities and differences among species, and even why some diseases evolve resistance to treatments. Charles Darwin, a British naturalist, is best known for developing the theory of evolution by natural selection. In the 19th century, Darwin traveled around the world, observing plants and animals in their natural habitats. His most famous journey was to the Galapagos Islands, where he noticed that finches on different islands had unique beak shapes suited to their environments. These observations led Darwin to propose that species change over time, adapting to their surroundings through natural selection. Natural selection is the process where organisms better adapted to their environment tend to survive and produce more offspring. This means that beneficial traits become more common in a population over generations. For example, if a certain color helps an animal hide from predators, individuals with that color are more likely to survive and pass on their genes. Over time, this can lead to significant changes in a species. Natural selection is often summarized as survival of the fittest, but it's really about reproductive success. Within any population, individuals are not identical. There are always differences in size, color, strength, and many other traits. These variations are crucial for natural selection to work. Some variations give individuals an advantage in their environment, while others might make survival more difficult. The source of this variation is genetic differences, which can arise from mutations, gene shuffling during reproduction, and other processes. Without variation, evolution would not be possible. Traits that give an advantage are more likely to be passed on to the next generation. This is because individuals with these traits are more likely to survive and reproduce. The process of inheritance is what allows natural selection to shape populations over time. Genes, which are segments of DNA, carry the instructions for building and maintaining an organism. When parents pass their genes to their offspring, they also pass on the traits that help them survive. Nature resources like food, water, and shelter are limited. This means that not all individuals in a population can survive and reproduce. There is constant competition, and only those best suited to their environment will thrive. This struggle for survival is a key part of natural selection. It ensures that only the most fit individuals pass on their genes, gradually improving the population's adaptation to its environment. The phrase survival of the fittest is often used to describe natural selection. However, it's important to understand that fitness in this context means the ability to survive and reproduce, not just physical strength. Sometimes being small or camouflaged is more advantageous than being big and strong. The key is how well an individual's traits match its environment, allowing it to leave more offspring. Adaptation is the process by which a species becomes better suited to its environment. Over many generations, traits that help survival become more common. For example, polar bears have thick fur and a layer of fat to survive in cold climates. These adaptations didn't appear overnight, they evolved gradually as individuals with helpful traits survived and reproduced. Adaptation is a continuous process, as environments and challenges change over time. Mutations are random changes in DNA that can introduce new traits into a population. Most mutations have little effect, but some can be beneficial or harmful. Beneficial mutations may give an individual an advantage, making it more likely to survive and reproduce. Over time, these new traits can spread through the population. Mutations are a key source of genetic variation, fueling the process of evolution by natural selection. There are countless examples of natural selection in action. One classic case is the peppered moth in England. Before the Industrial Revolution, most moths were light-colored, blending in with tree bark. As pollution darkened the trees, darker moths became more common because they were better camouflaged from predators. This rapid change in population color is a clear example of natural selection responding to environmental changes. Darwin's finches are another famous example. On the Galapagos Islands, finches have evolved different beak shapes to eat various foods like seeds, insects, or fruit. When food sources change, the population of finches with the most suitable beak shape increases. This shows how natural selection can lead to the development of new species, each adapted to a specific niche. Artificial selection is similar to natural selection, but humans choose which traits to promote. For thousands of years, people have bred plants and animals for desirable characteristics like bigger fruit or friendlier pets. This process shows how selection can rapidly change a species, and it helped Darwin understand how natural selection works in the wild. Speciation is the process by which one species splits into two or more separate species. This usually happens when populations become isolated from each other, such as by a mountain range or a body of water. Over time, genetic differences accumulate and the groups become so different that they can no longer interbreed. Speciation is a key driver of the diversity of life on Earth. Fossils provide a record of life on Earth over millions of years. By studying fossils, scientists can trace the evolution of species, seeing how they changed over time. Transitional fossils, which show features of both ancestral and modern species, are especially important. These discoveries support the theory of evolution and help us understand the history of life. Comparative anatomy involves studying the similarities and differences in the body structures of different species. For example, the forelimbs of humans, whales, and bats have similar bone structures, even though they serve different functions. These similarities suggest a common ancestry and provide strong evidence for evolution by natural selection. Embryology is the study of how organisms develop from fertilized eggs. Interestingly, embryos of different animals often look very similar in early stages. This suggests that they share common developmental pathways, inherited from a distant ancestor. Studying embryology provides further evidence for the theory of evolution and helps scientists understand how complex life forms arise. Modern science allows us to compare the DNA of different species. The more similar the DNA, the more closely related the species are. For example, humans and chimpanzees share about 98% of their DNA. This molecular evidence supports the idea that all life is connected through evolution and helps scientists build family trees showing how species are related. One of the most urgent examples of evolution today is antibiotic resistance. Bacteria can evolve rapidly, and when exposed to antibiotics, those with resistance genes survive and multiply. This makes infections harder to treat and shows how natural selection can have real-world consequences. Understanding evolution helps us develop better strategies to fight disease. Just like bacteria, insects can evolve resistance to pesticides. When a pesticide is used, most insects die, but a few with resistance genes survive and reproduce. Over time, the population becomes harder to control. This is another example of natural selection in action, and it highlights the importance of understanding evolution in agriculture and public health. Evolutionary trees or phylogenetic trees are diagrams that show how species are related through evolution. By analyzing physical traits and genetic data, scientists can build these trees to trace the history of life. Each branch represents a common ancestor, and the tree as a whole illustrates the connections between all living things. There are many misconceptions about evolution. Some people think it's just a theory or that individuals can evolve during their lifetimes. In reality, evolution is a well-supported scientific explanation, and it happens over many generations, not within a single individual. Understanding these misconceptions helps us appreciate the true power and scope of evolutionary theory. All mutations are random, natural selection is not. It consistently favors traits that improve survival and reproduction. This means that evolution has a direction, shaped by the environment and the needs of the population. Over time, this leads to the development of complex adaptations and new species. Humans are part of the evolutionary story too. Our species Homo sapiens evolved from earlier hominids in Africa. Fossil and genetic evidence shows how our ancestors adapted to changing environments, developing traits like upright walking, larger brains, and complex language. Human evolution is ongoing as we continue to adapt to new challenges. In addition to biological evolution, humans experience cultural evolution. This refers to the way ideas, technologies, and behaviors are passed down and change over time. Cultural evolution can happen much faster than genetic evolution, and it has played a huge role in shaping human societies. Coevolution occurs when two or more species influence each other's evolution. For example, flowers and pollinators like bees have evolved together, each adapting to the other's needs. This process can lead to highly specialized relationships and is a fascinating aspect of natural selection. Convergent evolution happens when unrelated species develop similar traits because they live in similar environments. For example, dolphins and sharks both have streamlined bodies for swimming, even though they are not closely related. This shows how natural selection can produce similar solutions to similar problems. Divergent evolution occurs when related species become more different over time, often due to living in different environments. For example, Darwin's finches started from a common ancestor but evolved into many species with different beak shapes. This process increases biodiversity and is a key part of how new species arise. Extinction is the permanent loss of a species. While it may seem negative, extinction is a natural part of evolution. When environments change or new competitors arise, some species cannot adapt and disappear. This opens up opportunities for other species to evolve and fill new roles in the ecosystem. Throughout Earth's history, there have been several mass extinctions where large numbers of species disappeared in a short time. The most famous is the extinction of the dinosaurs, likely caused by an asteroid impact. Mass extinctions dramatically reshape life on Earth, allowing new groups to evolve and dominate. Adaptive radiation is when a single species rapidly evolves into many new forms to fill different ecological roles. This often happens after a mass extinction or when a species colonizes a new area. Darwin's finches are a classic example, evolving into many species with different beaks to exploit various food sources. Sexual selection is a special type of natural selection where traits that help individuals attract mates become more common. For example, the bright feathers of a peacock or the elaborate songs of some birds are used to impress potential partners. While these traits may not help survival, they increase reproductive success. Genetic drift is a random process that can change the frequency of traits in a population, especially in small groups. Unlike natural selection, genetic drift is not driven by adaptation but by chance events. Over time, it can lead to significant changes, even causing some traits to disappear completely. Gene flow is the movement of genes between populations, usually through migration. When individuals from different populations interbreed, they introduce new genetic material. This increases variation and can help populations adapt to changing environments. Gene flow connects populations and is an important part of evolution. An evolutionary arms race occurs when two species constantly evolve new adaptations to outcompete each other. For example, predators may evolve sharper teeth while prey develop better defenses. This ongoing struggle drives rapid evolutionary changes and leads to fascinating adaptations. Climate change has always influenced evolution. As environments shift, species must adapt, migrate, or face extinction. Today, rapid climate change is putting pressure on many species, challenging their ability to adapt quickly enough. Studying evolution helps us predict which species might survive and how ecosystems will change. Understanding evolution is vital for conservation efforts. By knowing how species adapt and evolve, scientists can develop better strategies to protect endangered species. Conservation programs often focus on preserving genetic diversity, which is the raw material for future evolution and adaptation. Evolution isn't just a scientific concept, it affects our daily lives. From the food we eat to the medicines we use, understanding evolution helps us make better decisions. For example, crop breeding relies on selecting for desirable traits, and fighting diseases requires understanding how pathogens evolve. Evolution can happen slowly over millions of years or rapidly in response to sudden changes. Some species, like bacteria, can evolve quickly because they reproduce fast. Others, like elephants, evolve more slowly. The pace of evolution depends on factors like generation time, mutation rate, and environmental pressures. Evolutionary medicine applies evolutionary principles to understand health and disease. For example, why do we get sick? Some diseases are the result of evolutionary trade-offs or the body's response to new environments. Studying evolution helps doctors develop better treatments and understand the origins of medical conditions. Biotechnology uses knowledge of evolution to develop new products and technologies. For example, scientists use bacteria to produce medicines like insulin, taking advantage of their rapid evolution and genetic flexibility. Evolutionary principles also guide the development of vaccines and other medical advances. Theory of evolution has raised important ethical questions, especially in areas like genetics and biotechnology. Understanding evolution helps us think carefully about issues like genetic modification, conservation, and our responsibilities to other species. It encourages us to consider the long-term consequences of our actions. Evolution is an ongoing process, and the future will bring new challenges and opportunities. As environments change and new technologies emerge, species, including humans, will continue to evolve. By studying evolution, we can better prepare for the future and understand our place in the natural world. Let's recap what we've learned. Evolution by natural selection explains the diversity of life on Earth. It's driven by variation, inheritance, and the struggle for survival. Evidence from fossils, anatomy, genetics, and real-world examples all support this powerful theory. Understanding evolution helps us solve problems in medicine, agriculture, and conservation. Evolution by natural selection is one of the most important ideas in science. It connects all living things and explains how life adapts and thrives. By appreciating the power of evolution, we gain a deeper understanding of the world and our place within it. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of life's incredible journey.